Now, we made a bunch of custom fields for a staff member, and we want to print them here on this archive. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. There are several different ways. This is where we're going to start going over the WordPress codex. All right, there are two ways to go get those custom fields. I'll go first over the one that I don't use. Get post meta accepts a post ID, so it knows what post you're talking about, and it's required. It accepts a key, which is the name of the field you're looking for. And then optionally, single or not. Single says, go get me a string of the first value in that field. If you don't say single, you might get an array of however many items are in that field. So with this, you would have a whole bunch of these get post meta scattered all over the place. The way I prefer to do it is to use get post custom, which goes and gets all the custom fields and packs them into one giant array, and you can just print those items all over the place. So let's do that real quick. Here's an example of how it's done. Right there, custom fields, get post custom. All right, so just to show what's in here, I'm going to do a little debugging stuff. Print R prints out the contents of a variable in logical structure. So custom fields right now is an array. If you just tried to print custom fields, you would get the word array, which would tell you nothing. Print R will tell you this stuff. So custom fields is an array, and it contains all of these fields. Edit last, one, edit lock, it's basically every custom field. Including the ones we made, which happen to all start with ECPT. Now, the contents are arrays also. In this particular case, every one of them has only a single value, and it's stored in 0. So let me show you how to do something with that. There we go. So let's say one of the fields is ECPT phone. So right here under, oh, that's in header. I don't want that. Under content, plain HTML, I'm going to make an unordered list. Throw in a list item, call it phone, then do PHP, print, $custom fields, array item ECPT phone. Oop. First thing in the array, which is 0. Oop. And close my LI. And now I'm going to go take a look at that, and then I'll come back and show you how that worked. And there we have the phone number for each of those people. So most of this is plain HTML. That's an unordered list. I'm printing the first value of the contents of the ECPT phone array, which is in the custom fields array. What was one of the other ones? What was one of the other fields?
Title. You do that.
Title. Yep.
Email.
Well, yeah, email. That makes sense. There. Now I've done title, phone, and email. There you go.
What is the significance of the 0?
In an array, by default, the key is a random auto-incremented number. And so 0 simply means the first element in the array. So let me print the array again, and you'll be able to see. Custom fields is an array, and it's full of these named fields. But each of the fields itself contains an array. And the keys on this are just numbers. If there was another thing under last name, there'd be a 1 and something else, and so on and so forth. I just happen to want the first thing there, which happens to be 0. Now, I actually want this stuff above the content. So I'm just going to move that whole block up above that. And actually, you know what? I'm going to even get more crazy. I'm just going to make a whole new div with a class of entry-meta. There's no real significance to this as far as our content type is concerned, but it's good markup. I'm going to indent it properly. Just so it's pretty. So I haven't really changed much as far as functionality goes. But now that information is above the content. So here's the content div, and I actually reverted that to the way it was before we started anything. I made a new div called entry-meta. Inside it's an unordered list. Each list item has this stuff. The question is whether or not echo or print is better. Print takes 1/1000th of a second longer to run. Other than that, no, doesn't matter. I always use print because I always have, and that much time doesn't really bother me. It's actually because print is a function, and it's actually doing something, whereas echo says, dump this value. That's the magic sauce that actually goes to get them all. So the question is whether or not you have to have this get post custom. You want it before, it's going to get your information. So you want to print this, or you want to run this function before you try to print your information. It is PHP, so it has to be inside the PHP tags. If you try to print a field that doesn't exist, it won't work. I'm going to throw some images on a couple of mine while you guys get yours figured out. Menus, staff, Neil Stevenson.
That's my daughter. She's a firefighter.
I heard.
Yeah, she'll kick your butt too.
Set featured image. All right, so to set a featured image on Neil Stevenson, and I don't even need to hit update because adding an image magically updates for you. And look at that. That's a huge picture. We don't want a huge picture on our staff archive. So let's learn a little bit about the function that's printing that there. That's called the post thumbnail. So we're going to go to the codex. And look that up. And you'll note that it can take two options: size, which is key, and attributes. By default, WordPress comes with thumbnail, medium, large, or full. You can create any size you want by using the add image size function in a plugin or your functions.php. But we're going to go with thumbnail for right now. So you would just put in thumbnail in parentheses. Then you can optionally put in information on your image tag, like the source, the class, the alt, the title, etc. So I'm just going to put in, oh, where's my, there we go. Thumbnail. Oh, did I mess that up? I did mess it up. Wow. Oh, that's not what I want. There we go. There we go. Now, my title is below the image, but I don't care. That's for the CSS guy to fix. To put the title either next to it or in a smaller font below it or whatever. Each of these is well marked up with HTML. They're each articles. So your CSS, you can say, I want them too wide. So I'm going to set a width of 200 pixels wide and float them left, and they're going to stack up next to each other and all that stuff.